The final novel in my Jacques McKeown trilogy, We'll Leave the Galaxy for Good, is now available on Audible.com. Tell 'em Yahtzee sent ya. They won't care. Hello and welcome to my review of Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode 2. Oh sorry, I must have briefly flashed into a fucking sensible timeline for a moment there. You know what, title namers? You win. Words officially don't mean anything. Future video game academics will just have to intuit that Rebirth is the sequel to Remake somehow. Guess they could always look it up, but words don't mean anything anymore, so they'd have to use the new bullshit decimal system, where it's filed under mangrove_underpants.catalepsy. Right, sorry, got it out of my system now. So, having progressed through a hearty 0.5% of the original game's plot in Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode Spooge, Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode Dingbat opens with Cloud Strife, Mr. T, Manic Pixie Dream Girl A, Mr. T's dog, and Manic Pixie Dream Girl B embarking upon what was originally the middle third of the game, which, speaking as someone with still only a passing acquaintance with the original, seems to have consisted largely of pissing about. There's a scene early on where Manic Pixie Dream Girl B, the wholesome one, not the one who dresses like a CrossFit-themed dominatrix, gleefully does a little skip and goes, "That's the first step on our new journey!" And I very clearly remember yelling at the screen, "Journey to where? To do what?" We have a vague notion that our goal is to stop Sephiroth, but we don't know how to do that or where the bugger is. The most reliable method we've had for finding him so far is to feed Cloud expired prescription meds until he hallucinates him again. There's a bunch of weird pale blokes in robes congregating towards something and Cloud gets it into his head that they'll lead them to Sephiroth, but they could also be dehydrated Emperor Palpatine cosplayers for all the evidence presented. I do note that following them just happens to take us through a luxury cruise, a beach resort and a theme park, at every one of which the Manic Pixie affiliated portion of the entourage goes, "Oh hey, well, since we're here, yeah, good hustle, girls. I've tried that one a few times. No, really, this vat of ice cream is totally a business expense, Nick. It's research for the next time I review a Kirby game." So for a large part, the plot of Final Fantasy VII Kumquat feels directionless and lacking in urgency. It's Persona 3 syndrome again, where the first 900 hours of gameplay is summarised in one paragraph of the Wikipedia plot summary, and the lack of prevailing wind, combined with the commitment to adapting the goofier elements of the original, does tend to fuck up the emotional tone. There's a subplot in the mid-game where Barrett has to confront a former comrade who's gone insane with grief and PTSD and ends up having to put him out of his misery, and it's actually tragic and well told and emotionally engaging. But then, while Barrett is crying over the body of his friend, a fucking circus strongman in a cape and little red pants shows up in a monster truck and attempts to alleviate Barrett's grief by strategically flexing at him. Not for the first time, playing through these remakes as a non-fan feels like being a new boyfriend in a well-established friend group, especially when Manic Pixie Dream Girl C shows up, the ninja girl who gets introduced about 9 times before officially joining the party, always presented like the game was convinced I was going to fall in love with the kooky Moo and her clumsy antics, when in reality I was mostly cringing and worrying about how this was going to affect the Manic Pixie Dream Girl tag team rota. Blimey, how much can one man be Manic Pixie Dream Girl without going into diabetic shock? But moving on. New for Final Fantasy VII Balustrade is open world gameplay, including having to unlock radio towers, climb up sequences of yellow painted ledges, and crafting mechanics. And try to imagine my face transitioning through one of those Faces of Meth photo sequences as I read those out. It's not that I knee-jerk hate yellow painted ledges like Green Lantern without a stepladder, it's that in this game they're always laid out in flat, tedious sequences where all you do is hold up to slowly ascend like a brain-damaged parakeet looking for the cuttlefish. Who the fuck is Chadley, anyway? I looked it up and I know they weren't in the original game. Who are they to muscle their way into the remake like K-pop Data from Star Trek and oblige us to do all this radio tower twattery? Still, it's only an open world game in the sense that Nicolas Cage is a good actor. It's only true about half the time. Prolonged periods are spent away from the open world in linear story missions, unnecessarily prolonged perhaps, but not quite as much as the ones in the first game were. In fact, I find I generally enjoyed the combat more too. I can't quite put my finger on how it's changed, unless it's just that a few more of my brain cells have died since then, but as the party continued to accrue new members, every time I was forced by contrived story reasons to switch them around to maximise Manic Pixie efficiency or whatever, I'd make a noise like a frustrated walrus trying to open a ring-pulled tuna can, sort of like this. Because I knew it meant having to spend another 10 minutes in the fucking menus, swapping their materia around, spending their upgrade points, managing equipment, making sure none of them have pooey nappies. So that was annoying, but that's only for combat, and combat seems to be something Final Fantasy VII porridge only falls back on when it can't think of another bloody minigame. In the grand Final Fantasy VIII tradition, one of the main side activities is an anomalously popular collectible card game, and I tend to avoid such things in RPGs because inevitably they'll explain the rules, and inevitably I'll listen with my mouth hanging open and the Inspector Gadget theme tune running through my head, and then after the tutorial, never play it or think about it again. But then there's a whole chapter of the Critical Path devoted to a tournament of this fucking game that I had to opt out of, and when I heard the incredulous voice of the tournament manager asking if I was really quitting, my stubborn pride forced me to back down and learn this stupid card game I didn't find fun, just so an NPC wouldn't make a disappointed face. Probably a me problem, but it's just the start of the minigame safari. There's motorbike teabagging, chocobo wrangling, rock'em sock'em robots, dolphin riding, a veritable buffet of rhythm challenges, although now I'm thinking about it, the original was about as rife with mini-games and tended to be much worse at explaining them. In fact, cards on the table, lol. I enjoyed playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Part Knickerbocker more than I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake Part Jockstrap, and probably more than I'd enjoy playing the original, but I still don't like it that much. The way we speed from concept to concept, indulging 500 different game mechanics and story elements, makes the game feel a mile wide and an inch thick. And every time one of the Manic Pixie Dream Girls emphasizes their feelings by holding up 2 fists under their chin and doing a little partial squat, it really looks like they're farting.